All right, good evening, everyone. This is Art in the Basin. And out there in the virtual world, they actually clapped for me here. All right, we are here at Mona Moore Coffee and Wine. I'm Amy Joy. And we are going to get this party started. Please help me welcome your host for the evening, Tim W. Brown, author of 4 novels, once known as the Minor God in the poetry Chicago scene. Sorry about that. Messed that one up. Okay. Minor God in the Chicago poetry scene. That's how I should have said it. Okay, sorry. All right, let's start that again. Please help me welcome an all-around good neighbor, my personal friend, Tim W. Brown.
Thank you, Amy Joy. Amy Joy is the host with the most. She produces the shows here at Art in the Basin and sets up and records them for YouTube. So yes, this is, as a reminder, being live streamed, on YouTube on the Art in the Basin channel. It will also be saved once it's downloaded or uploaded or side loaded, whatever they do. And will be permanently affixed to the YouTube tubes. Anyhow, Happy New Year. It is now 2025. We are a quarter of a century now into the 21st century. Imagine that. Actually, next year will mark the 250th birthday of the United States. So I can just remember like it was yesterday, the bicentennial in 1976, which was a big deal. Seems like this is not going to be such a big deal. They don't seem to be making a big to-do about it. Back, I'm not sure, given some of the recent political developments, we'll even have a country in 2026. But anyway, or if we will, it will be like sort of an amalgam of the United States, Canada, Greenland, and the Gulf of America, which of course our incoming president is going to rename from the Gulf of Mexico. Anyhow, it is, some crazy stuff in store for us this year, I have a feeling. But anyway, we have poetry here. We have Monomore Coffee and Wine, where we've appeared now for going on 8 years with the Art in the Basin series. So thanks everyone for your support, and thanks as always to Monomore Coffee and Wine. Please do order heavily, food, drink, coffee, what have you, and tip even more heavily. Generously, yes. So before we get to our featured reader of the evening, I thought I would read a short poem. Not only at Art in the Mason do we present this reading series, but we also do some one-off events, like we've done a poetry slam. We've sponsored, in fact, kind of recently, the board game Dead Poets Rise. Got it. At the Spuyten Duyvil Library up the hill, which was a big success, and I think we're probably going to do it again in March. We're going to do it again in March, so look forward to that. It's a lot of fun, by the way, and you get like a couple of lines of poetry out of the game if you play it right, so it was a lot of fun. And we, of course, do periodic workshops throughout the year. We had one in early December, led by Cheryl Fish, a poet from Manhattan. And she led us in a workshop where we wrote Haibun poetry. Now, Haibun poetry is a Japanese poetic form that was invented by the poet Basho several hundred years ago now. And it's sort of a weird combination of prose and haiku, if you can imagine such a thing. I ended up writing 2 haibuns on account of this workshop. And I thought I would share with you the second one tonight. And as a matter of fact, I recycled lines from November's Dead Poets Rise game that I came up with. So kind of have a 2-banger here. I don't have a title for it other than Haibun 2, like Roman numeral 2. Uh, so it starts off, like I said, with like a prose selection, and then it ends with a haiku that's supposed to give you some commentary on what the prose section is about, straight, ironic, or otherwise. I take a midnight walk through the park, which is soggy from October rain. Under fallen, interlaced leaves, I sense the boogeyman is lurking just like beneath my bed when I was 5. I look up through the battered moonlight and see a big shiner on the man in the moon's face. It's lumpy, gibbous, swollen, bruised by gravity, slapped by sunlight. Passing clouds briefly smooth over cuts and scratches, which well up again and redden like a sad attempt to cover injuries with cosmetics. I make a frightful witness. Now here, dig the haiku. The moon a beacon, illuminating the path to my destruction. Wow. Okay, yeah, Haibun. Well, anyway, without further ado, why don't we get to the featured reader this evening? By the way, this event is happening through the generous support of poets and writers, as well as the city's Arts Cultural Affairs division. So we're grateful to them always, as always, for helping us host these events. Melinda Wilson is the author of Amplexus, a chapbook from Dancing Girl Press. Her work has appeared in Verse Daily, the Cincinnati Review, the Minnesota Review, the Wisconsin Review, a lot of Midwest, Evening Street Review, Arsenic Lobster, Diner, Maryland Literary Review, and many other journals. She is a founding editor of Cold Front magazine, and she is the director of the Center for Academic Success and faculty at Manhattan College. She lives in the Bronx, New York. We should also mention that tonight is a reading that I'm sure she'll read from a brand new book that she came out with at the end of last year, What It Was Like to Be a Woman from Indolent Books. Also, she is the co-host of the reading series Up the Hill at Ambil Bach Cafe. Happens every second Wednesday of the month. And in fact, she's appearing there tomorrow night as the feature. But yeah, be a lot of reading going on this week. Anyway, everybody, please do welcome Melinda Wilson. What's that? Oh, we're not doing that? Oh, we're doing this. Okay. I see. It's a table. Gotcha. Wow.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Amy Joy. Thank you so much to Mona Moore. Thank you everyone for being here, and also to poets and writers. So I'm going to read from my brand new book. This is my debut collection, 20-something years in the making. That has no bearing on how good it is, unfortunately. But I think that there are a lot of poems in here that I hope you enjoy. So the first one I'm going to read is the title poem, What It Was Like to Be a Woman. God, let me keep a good house. Rarely do men want women to smell like women. They'd rather violet water. But some men are just dogs, and boy, do I love dogs. They roam semi-senile beings without any people. If he ain't a chicken, he'll marry you, unless somebody cut it off. And if he ain't a buzzard, he must just be picky, a sensible man for whom everything will work out all right. The best women can do is to smell like trees and read Faulkner before bed. I hate it when one man points me out to another, like, here is the bathroom. And I'm like, here's the bat I keep under my bed. Thank you. Extracted. Like scraping a seed from an apple's core. Though she thought it looked like something from the sea, nestled among barnacled rocks, a snail stuck firm to a child's bare belly. It had been suffocated by a globe that grew inside her for weeks, waiting to rupture into 1,000 toxic stars. It curled itself tight against her womb wall. Now she listens to the crickets at night, the black masses of them crying, marble backs gleaming in moonlight, and the purple plum-backed one among them between blades of grass. And so this is the first time, obviously, that I'm reading from this book, not necessarily these poems, but from this book. And what I'm realizing now is that it's incredibly, I feel incredibly clumsy trying to negotiate the book and the pages in my hands. So please forgive me for that. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. This poem is called Lake. It's after a poem that you may or may not recognize by one of my favorite poets, Sylvia Plath. And she had a poem, it was one of the first poems that I memorized back in the day. It was called Mirror. And so I essentially tried to imitate Plath's Mirror, sort of doing it in the inverse. It's a poem in 2 stanzas. And so this is Lake after Sylvia Plath. I am black and inexact. When the moon rises, I am the terrible fish we picture in the dark, pink and with age spots. I have drowned us at each milestone. I have drowned the pigtails, drowned the butterfly clips, the first kiss, then the sweet soreness of the deflowering in my icebox. I aim to own these cruelties. Now I am a mirror. A woman holds me to the sky as if to reject what she really is, what we really are, to hand back the ghostly diadem we each wear from birth. I join her when she says, I am neither queen nor angel of man's creation. I am the water in the lake and the sand in the glass. So another poet I love is a poet named Mary Oliver, famous nature poet, very contemplative, beautiful, pensive writer. I love her work so much. And her writing about nature kind of enabled me to find a voice to write about nature, especially when I was a young poet. So I tended to write a lot of poems about different animals that either I would come across in the world at large or animals that I would research and then learn about because I was a member of the National Geographic like little kids club where they send you the packets about the different animals each month. So this poem's called Ghost Crab. Periscope eyes surface, appear as black beads. You are an unmistakable ghost of the sand, silent but for the bubbling of your gill chamber. You rise and a bit of ground collapses. Spine legs scurry, and I recoil at your outstretched claws. You descend into wet beach. I've heard you digging down there, crawling farther toward the center to ambush the turtle hatchlings on their way to the kelp beds. I've seen your insides, your tiny wiring that makes you afraid of the sun, which would cook you to a dumpling. Interestingly, Nicholas and I had dumplings for dinner. I know. All right, change of tone here. Quit me. Our empty brandy bottles stowed under the Xmas tree clink a toast to the good times. Love is an astronaut, you tell me. It comes back, but it's never the same. I wonder if you mean to convince me our indiscretions won't matter, that time and distance are inevitable and damning all on their own. But you're only repeating lines from a song. In the morning, I wash 3 birth control pills down with what's left of the Colt 45 I drank before bed. A Mozart symphony plays while your cold hands grip my slight waist. Like many, I have asked, what makes life worth living? You told me it's the second movement of the Jupiter Symphony. I don't know about worth, but that movement is rebirth. Like our love is a small doe we thought dead, waking and kicking numbness out of a back leg. You set up the reading for yourself ahead of time, and then you're like, I don't know. Should I read that one next? Does that make sense? Did you do that? What was I thinking? Reading an old issue of the New Yorker. Hummingbirds, goose down robes, songs in the key of Yiddish. These are things in the world on this particular day. Brown leaves collecting on my windowsill, a pinkish glow seeping in from the evening outside. Sparkling cider, a John Travolta TV special, a poem by John Ashbery called In Those Days. The days are all here, or will be eventually, piling up like hills of dirty snow. A cartoon on this page features the Grim Reaper and his buddies. Not far away, dead people have dead pets. Dead fish floating in grimy bowls, dead canaries in rusted cages. It wouldn't matter if you forgot to shut the cage door, which you probably would, sitting dead on the couch. Okay, so this next poem is called What Orlando Taught Me. And Orlando, I'm referring to the Virginia Woolf Orlando, not Orlando, Florida. Although, if you want to try to apply the poem to Orlando, Florida, that might be an interesting thought exercise. What Orlando taught me: that love of nature is a disease, that the soul expands with the eyeballs, that the mind makes its own raptures or borrows those of others, that however base man is, woman must be baser, that nature is both beautiful and cruel, and that it is cruelest when it sets itself on reality, that every blank verse poem is first a dialogue with the self, and ancient birth is not the trophy we treat it as, because to be fully new means the whole earth is ours. None is even better than one. It is stupidly important to us that others believe as we believe, that the sight of an inch of flesh can mean death, as it is and always has been objectively dangerous to be female. We can spend time staring, like a hare and a human, encountering one another from across the pavement in winter, frozen. And if we survive the ringing, we will succumb to the cold. Nicholas, how am I doing on time? Sorry? Okay, thank you. Mood. We are arguing. And when we argue, the weather mimics the Earth's earliest rainforests. Growing skies, tension and release. We fight. And you are a crocodile, a heavyweight, while I, with my slender pelvis, howl for the strong ocean currents. This climate will do us in, will divide us the way living on a planet with 2 suns might polarize the natives, design boundaries and religions. We end confused as the meowing night frog who is really just saying, "Let me sleep beside you." Confused, as though we lived in a region where pooch actually means domestic cat. Then, toot sweet, we are fucking. And it is even more confusing than living on this planet pelted by a Death Star's X-rays. Isn't it surprising that a crocodile and a papillon find each other's casts devourable? That in the Amazon, the grave, or Tora Bora, appetite finds ways to control outcomes. We don't admit a predetermined course, but insist that all this is our own creation, our chosen dolor and bliss. Another of my favorite poets is the poet Elizabeth Bishop, quite different than the other two that I mentioned earlier. But she has a poem that I first encountered in a class with Charlie Simic back at the University of New Hampshire, and that poem was called The Fish. And so I tried to write sort of a imitation poem called The Roach, because here we are living in New York City and there are a lot of cockroaches, folks, no matter how many times that global pest control comes. The roach. I killed a tremendous roach and watched him struggle on dirty linoleum, his legs shaking violently from the poison. He wasn't fighting. He wasn't fighting at all. He convulsed as if with ecstasy, nearly dancing into that great night. The roach knows death is its own achievement. Almost nothing can kill him, and yet here I stand with a can of Raid and the growing horror on my face, the stinging shame of what I've done. Here and there his shell grew thin, like a snake's outgrown and discarded skin. The antennae, too, kept time with the 1,000 lenses of his darting eyes, wall to wall. The hardy vermin manufactures his own antifreeze, so he may survive the polar regions just as well as any forest canopy. I envy his endurance and make myself to study his thick armor, the brownish bands around his midsection, his fully developed wings, which he knows better than to flaunt. A slow-flying insect is not flying for long. Too easy prey for rails and jays. No, he'd rather run, scurry from countertop to stovetop and back, linger on the spines of cookbooks, wondering which meal will be next. Sweets, meats, or starches. These are preferable to hair and decaying books, but if he must, he will nibble on the hair I've shed, as if I left the strands just for his purpose, as if he were a welcome guest. What a harsh lesson he must now learn. And I too will require myself to see, to look on until the final shudder has quieted his, now I'm seeing it, polished pericarp, smooth like the rounded head of the bishops in a stone chess set. I have had to murder to feel admiration for this common pest, who startles me in the bathroom at night or in my mahogany chest where I search for lubricant or clean bra. We have been cohabitating all this time, and mostly peacefully. And surely he has seen me more often than I him. Has he wanted to end me each time my tremendous body crosses his gaze? He may be like most men in that way, the chronic desire to capture and control. We hate those who we are programmed to fear. I know now what we could have been, allies in this war, comrades side by side in the apocalypse, which we both very much intend to survive, the cockroach and I. I think I'm gonna finish. with, see, my voice is kind of giving out on me too. Okay. Habitat elegy. Gravity is a tyrant, though some prefer to carry out the sentence themselves. My father, for one, pitches a stone at a whistling jay, hits it square in the temple, laughs hoarsely. Bird shit luck, he says, as he scrapes feathers from the grill of the cutlass that barreled through my barren childhood. Death will find us, is what he meant. All this will go away, and we'll wish for autumn acorns ushering in frost and the last of soft summer fruit ripening, looking best in its death skin, calling the flies to our funerals. I return home, and the birds are still chirping, though I can't comprehend how they haven't fallen from their perches, haven't had their necks wrung for others' lack of bliss. Thank you, thank you. At the very end of the night. So thank you so much for listening. I have a couple copies of the book. I'm going to hand things back over to Tim, and I think we're going to do our open mic. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Everybody, let's hear it again for Melinda. Melinda Wilson. You know, whenever I hear the name Orlando, my ears perk up. My grandfather's name was Orlando. So, in fact, his son, my uncle, is also Orlando, although he goes by Ted. So he's my Uncle Ted. They had this weird thing in my mother's family where they always call the children something different than their given name. So Orlando Jr. is my Uncle Ted. My mother was Lillian, but her middle name was Carol, so they called her Carol. And her sister is Eleanor, but they always called her by her middle name, Joyce. So it was Ted, Carol, and Joyce. In fact, my Uncle Ted, strangely enough, calls his daughter Rebecca, which is her second name, her middle name. Her actual name is Kate, which is what I know her by. So go figure. I don't know. I have this like strange family. Anyway, wonderful, wonderful poems. Thank you, Melinda, for coming and sharing them with us. Yes, she does have copies here tonight, so please do see her after the show and buy one. I know I asked to have a copy reserved, so hopefully few of you also will purchase her books. And as we mentioned before, she is also appearing at her own series, Up the Hill, at Onbeal Bach Cafe tomorrow night at 8 p.m. There's also an open mic. It's Up the Hill, 238th Street. Please do check her out. Again, if you liked what you heard tonight. What else can I say? All right, we will not be here in 2 weeks. Is it February 4th? We will be back on February 4th, the first Tuesday of February. So please don't come in 2 weeks. Or if you do, that would be great. I'm sure the cafe would appreciate it. They'll sell you, a sandwich or a salad or something. But we unfortunately are not going to be here in 2 weeks. But we will be back on February 4th, and we'll let you know who the featured performers are as time goes on.
Back open.
And anything else? Well, let's see. I can't see who's on. Oh, I do see that the Elegant Ivory Duo is on. And wow, I see a very sunny sort of beach kind of thing going on in the background there of John Chodris. Do you want to put them on first or?
You can make yourself.
Yeah? Yes, no? Last. Okay. Hang on, Elegant Ivory Duo. We'll have you on in a moment. But meantime, we do have some open micers here in the room as well as the Elegant Ivory Duo on Zoom. First, we'd like to bring up a very funny man. He's been featured here before and has done a couple of events with us, these one-off things that I've mentioned before. Please, everybody, welcome Clyde.
Sorry, honey. No, I'm on stage. No, I gotta get off the phone. That's right. I'm gonna try that new character I was talking about. Yes, Andrew Dice Cosby. What's that? Don't do that. Well, honey, it sounded like a real banger on paper, you know. Okay, okay. Well, how about I'll try to do my Tony Hinchcliffe impression. Really? 10 times worse. Okay, all right. I mean, you're really limiting my oeuvre here. Like, what do I do? You want me to talk about dating? Even though you and I have been married for 8 years, you want me to talk about dating? All right, kid. Now I gotta get off now, but I'll let you know how it goes. Okay. Well, dating sure is hard. I bet all of you think you have very difficult dating lives, but just last night I went on a date with Mackenzie Phillips.
Oh.
Oh, what's that? Oh, sorry. Looks like I'm out of time. We'll have to finish this joke next week.
God.
No, I'm not really Bob Newhart. I'm sorry. But I did want to talk about, like, a lot of people always complain about inflation and economics and stuff like that. And they always say things like, why, I remember when you could get a cup of coffee for only 5 cents. But what they don't remember is that they would also say something like, wow, after a long, hard 40-hour work week, I finally came home with a paycheck for a whopping $15. I listen to a lot of music, and lately I've been listening mostly to the music of Tom Waits. And I've noticed Tom Waits is amazing because every single one of his songs sounds just like this. Hitler won by a landslide. John Lennon got shot again. The moon stopped working at midnight. And Grandma just made out with you. On your birthday. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right, everybody. Clyde. Wow. The offbeatest. There we go. Sense of humor. You'll ever hear this side of I don't know, Vermont. Thank you, Clyde. So next on the agenda, do you want to read next? Amy Joy. Amy Joy is going to do a piece for us during the open mic. So everybody, please welcome our co-host, Amy Joy.
Amy.
Okay, so I performed this Jim Harrison, the Essential Poems, at Dance of the Word, which we were invited to by the Elegant Ivory Duo. Thank you guys for opening up that space for us. And I thought these were cool because they talk about, you know, last year and the coming year. So this is called Calendars. Back in the blue chair in front of the green studio, another year has passed, or so they say. But calendars lie. They're a kind of cosmic busyness machine, like their cousin clocks, but break down in inappropriate times. 50 years ago, I learned to jump off the calendar, but I kept getting drawn back on for reasons of greed and my imperishable stupidity. Of late, I've escaped those fatal squares with their razor-sharp numbers for longer and longer. I had to become the moving water I already am. Falling back into the human shape in order not to frighten my children, grandchildren, dogs, and friends. Our old cat doesn't care. He laps the water where my face used to be. That's Jim Harrison. And the second one, which I thought was really appropriate, and I hope everyone takes the last line to heart in this upcoming new year. This is called Rumination. I sit up late, dumb as a cow, which is to say, somewhat conscious with thirst and hunger. An eye for the new moon and the morning's long walk to the water tank. Everywhere around me, the birds are waiting for light. In this world of dreams, don't let the clock cut up your life in pieces. All right, good night, everyone. Jim Harrison. And that's how we do it in the basin.
Jim Harrison. Thank you, Amy Joy. He is, yeah, he's George's brother. No, actually, he is a Midwest poet. Very well known, very deep, as only Midwest poets can be. Here I am. I'm deep. Or so I like to flatter myself by saying. Anyway, let's move on. You know, Amy Joy mentioned that she and I appeared a couple of weeks ago at Dance of the Word, which is a reading series that goes on, I guess, about every like 4 times a year, like every season or so. December 28th. You'll hear from one of the performers a little later on, the Elegant Ivory Duo. But one of the people who appeared in the open mic that night is here with us tonight. And man, she wowed everybody with like this poem about drumming in St. Kitts, her native land. So anyway, I don't know if she'll read that poem, but she'll read something excellent anyway. Let's hear it from Heather.
Thank you. Heather?
Yes, I'm going to read a poem about dancing, but it's not that same poem that I read the other night. So today was a really cold day. And as much as I'm a tropical baby, I love the cold, I really do. I now live in St. Kitts. Well, I kind of moved there just before the pandemic, but have been spending months at a time here in New York. And in the winter, because that's when I come to do my medicals. And I kind of love it. You know, today was so lovely and cold and woke me up. So I'm going to read a poem about a dream that I had once on such a cold night about home. Well, it's really about here, but thinking of home. And I called it Dream Dancing. Island women gather in New York City. Some have come driving long hours to commune with kin and friends for Christmas, with rice and green pigeon peas, doved pork, black cake, sorrel, and ginger beer. After the feast, women lie side by side, all 8 across the short side of a bed. Feet dangling, they tell stories, utter guttural, full belly laughs as memories rear up like waterfalls, sprinkle the air, and trickle down their faces. Outside, the snow falls unnoticed. Birds of tropic steam rise indoors, where women mine the past for ore, sparking a blaze to melt ice on the sills. Then exhausted, they lie still, face down with heads on folded arms. Bass drum rhythms reach, penetrate night, silence winds, bodies heed, hips like sugar lumps, flex to beats, ripple like sudden breeze through cinnamon leaves. Palms stir as women dance, dreaming of big drums and wild calypsos left on an island. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. My gosh. Heather's a great poet. Um, are you doing the shows in Harlem presently, or what's? Yes. Okay. All right. Dada, okay, creative expressions at this venue February 9th at a Dada place. I guess look it up online. Not familiar with it myself, but okay. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Heather. Great to see you as always. So we have a couple other people here. I don't know. Ron Mark, you want to do something for us tonight? Nothing tonight? Okay. Well, Ron Mark's in the house. We always appreciate his attendance. So thank you, Ron Mark, for being here. Peggy, do you want to do anything? Not tonight? Okay. All right. Yeah, Peggy's in the house. Came here from work. And she came here by bus. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow. The very base of Manhattan, I think, doesn't it? Oh, the BX1. Wow. Oh, yeah, that's the Grand Concourse bus. Wow. That goes like way the heck out of the, doesn't go geographically like north and south. It goes around and up and down and yeah, because we're in the Bronx. Back, yes, we are in the Bronx. Art in the Basin. We've been based in the Bronx here for going on 8 years now. We're residents of the Bronx and we love the Bronx. And anyway, thank you everyone for coming tonight. We want to conclude the evening. We have to probably set up some technology here first before it happens, but we want to get the Elegant Ivory Duo on. And they were at Dance of the Word on December 28th. Please do check out our Facebook page, Art in the AITB at Art in the Basin, something like that. Anyway, we're on Facebook. Look it up, AITB. Bunch of photographs from that evening, including of the Elegant Ivory Duo. Crack me up with the song where Santa Claus was introduced to Knishes.
Mute.
Are we ready?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, I will turn this off for now.
Yes. Hello. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I had to. I was trying to get John to do something with his computer. There we go. Okay. So if you come a little closer, you can talk a little bit, John. Come closer, don't be shy.
Hi, everyone, and Happy New Year to one and all.
The camera's
And
here.
yes, Amy and Tim definitely rocked the Dance of the Word series. ABIB's great event.
Yeah.
We're going to each do a poem tonight before we do a song,
If that's okay.
if that's okay. And excuse my not being a little more formal. It's cold. So,
I'm sorry.
you want to read a poem?
Is it okay if I read a poem?
Just read.
Okay, I will read it very quickly because I think we're limited on time. This is called When the Snow Arrives. When the snow arrives, I will be outside shoveling the snow as if I'm the only person who can do this. As part of our agreement for lower rent, I have agreed, despite arthritis and spinal stenosis, to handle all snow shoveling out in front. The only possible exception would be snow in the street. From my husband, I require only a very small payment for all my shoveling. Just one, and only one, steaming cup of hot cocoa. Yum!
Okay. I'm going to read one. It's not a poem. Actually, it's a little bit of creative writing. I was thinking of every year they do a new lineup with TV shows. And I was thinking of maybe creating a few TV shows that haven't happened yet. A new TV show about gambling your spouse away. You bet your wife. cooking show where they prepare goats. The Crisco Kid. All new TV shows for those who can't find romantic partners. All in the fantasy.
Oh,
And I'll read one more. No, two more. New TV show where cowboys go fishing. The Flounder Rosa.
oh,
And finally, new TV show where folks enter beer drinking contests. The Discharge of the Light Brigade. Thank you. Now I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to head over to the piano, but I'm going to say that this is a song that Tim particularly liked. We did this the opening night of the Dance of the Word. I'm going to do it again. We're going to do it again tonight because now that the snow is happening, it's like Christmas can happen again.
and technically today is Christmas, but it's Greek Orthodox Christmas. Well, anyway, to get more into the spirit of Christmas, I'm going to put on this beautiful white and red or red and white hat with a little a holly pin here. Well, I just received news that there's new cuisine up at the North Pole. Oh, Santa fell in love with a hot knish. It soon became his favorite Christmas dish. He'd skate a figure 8 for knishes on his plate. Oh, I just can't wait. Oh, Santa fell in love with a hot knish. Oh, Santa had sweet dreams of a hot knish. 5 tasty types would top his Christmas list. Mrs. Claus caught wind of this, and she coolly uttered, "Shush! To hell with gefilte fish." They both fell deep in love with a hot knish. Some workshop elves remarked, "It's very clear. Knishes could replace our bagels and a schmear." Meanwhile, Santa tossed his spork. Then he grabbed his knife and fork. Those hot knishes disappeared at warp speed gear. Oh, Santa fell in love with a hot knish. Aromas lured his crew to his chafing dish. His hungry elves then said, "Santa, you've kept us so well fed, but we're tired of jelly donuts, potato latkes with applesauce, Linzer stars, candy canes, and gingerbread. We don't need a whole spread, just a knish. It smells delish." Ho, ho, ho! Kasha, broccoli, spinach, cabbage, or potato. I down a hot knish in tempo allegro appassionato. Oh, Santa felt more love for a hot knish. A squeeze of mustard made it taste so rich. As the scent spread through the shop, elves dropped their tools kerplop. Work came to a total stop. In the name of love, they rushed to Santa at his chafing dish. Old Chris gave each a piping hot knish. The elves took their first bite without a hitch. They smiled, then made quick work of that knish. Elf tummies yelled, "It's hard to stay svelte. We'll need bigger belts. Hey, the knish sled is almost here. I've asked mere." Santa preached in his gown, "You'll pile on the pounds from knish squares and rounds. Like me, wear wider pants each year." Order through the reindeer. The whole North Pole soon got a hot knish. It would become a favored Christmas dish. Bibs and napkins was their fate. Quite a feast was theirs to take. The whole North Pole just loved their hot knish. Most everyone enjoys a hot knish. It's served year-round. Stick around for a tasty dish. Split a knish on your plate. More smiles will be your fate. With hot corned beef or sliced turkey, it'll make you feel quite perky. Add some mustard and warm kraut. It'll make you twist and shout. Skip hot matzo balls. Skip split pea. They might just get a bit. Grade A goes to the piping hot knish. So ho, 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 kiss me 'neath the mistletoe. I'm old Knish Kringle. Whoa, whoa, whoa. When we arrive at Heaven's Gate, endless joy will have been our fate. From savoring a yummy hot knish, because Santa once fell in love with a hot knish. I'll bring peace on earth, lots and lots of toys, and every type of hot knish. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of fun. Unmute over there, John. Set up your keyboard and you're on screen on the left. Yeah.
All right, we're back live here in the room. Thank you, as always, everybody who showed up tonight. It's a very cold night. Thank you again. And thank you for your support of Art in the Basin over the many years. Like I said, we'll be back on February 4th, like approximately 1 month from now. So please do join us then again. At this point, let's bring up Melinda and Amy Joy or Melinda, or maybe just Melinda. I don't know. Is going to kick us out of here with the Art in the Basin benediction. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tim. And thank you again, everyone, for being here tonight, for sharing, for listening, and to you both so much for having me, and to Monomore. Also to my publisher, I forgot to mention him earlier, and I feel like a total dick. His name is Michael Broder. He's a wonderful person. Indolent Books. They're fantastic. Please check them out. I'm going to end tonight with a beautiful poem by our one of our illustrious hosts, Amy Joy. This is in a collection called The Purest Kind, which you can and absolutely should get on Amazon. It's called Lead Love. Love at the helm, take me to an unseen realm. In it, I'll dwell under sacred spell, waving until your gaze sets still. Love, lead the way. And I'd like to end tonight by asking all of you to say with me on the count of 3, let love lead. 1, 2, 3. Let love lead. Yay, 2025.
Yeah, Melinda Wilson. Thank you. Tim W. Brown, right? Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us at Art in the Basin. All right, but you know how I like to end things. If you're here with me in 2025, you're gonna switch up those 3 words that I once put in that order, let love lead, and start with the lead because you are out the helm of your life. All right, on trois, you're going to start with lead, let love, okay? Lead, let love. You guys with me? On deux, trois, lead, let love. That's right. Lead with love and let that love in and out. Good night, everyone. Thank you for hanging out.